Hey, Mr. Clash here with another base breakdown and 3-star attack replay, and today we've got a little bit of a special one because it's Town Hall 9 3-starring this Town Hall 10, and in doing so also using a nifty little trick that we've been using lately to help keep the Queen alive when bringing in some healers. So the idea on this particular base is roughly, you would call it a Nemesis base. The Nemesis base technically might have some sealed in corners, these walls might be sealed in on the edges and whatnot, but that's regardless. It's got the same open core, open design around the edge with a core in the middle. The idea is your golems and whatever will circle around, and as they do so, they'll get wiped out gradually over time by the expos and the inferno towers. So what the plan is here in this particular attack, have a look at the troop combination: 3 giants, 4 healers, 14 Valkyries. Now some wizards and things as well. Now this is pretty important with the healers and the giants and the queen. Now I'll just get the first part of the attack. We're going to open up a wall here. That's just going to open straight away. Get some wall breakers in, crack that open, that part's done. One part of the attack is to get rid of all of these right hand side trash buildings. So you want a golem to be on this side. You want a golem to be here to do the tanking, and this is what we've got: a golem in the clan castle. So once the golem comes in here, we'll just call that G, funny little G, then you have wizards here to begin clearing this trash away. And that's important because you don't want these trash buildings next to each other, because Valkyries like going to things that are next to each other. So you definitely don't want these here when you send your Valkyries in. Now the tricky part of the next part, the next part, and that why it's tricky, and it's a little nifty thing that we've been doing, is the healers are for the giants. And the giants come in on this side of the base at roughly 7:30. So you're going to put your 3 giants down there, and you're going to put your 4 healers on them as well. Now why that's important is because the healers heal at 71 heal a second. That's their healing strength. And the archer towers shoot, they do damage at 75 a second. So what that means is the archer tower is doing 4 more damage per second than a healer can heal. So you need more than 1 healer to keep a giant alive. Now with the 4 healers, if you've got 3 giants and you had 3 point defense weapons, that's archers and cannons shooting 1 giant, and you had 3 healers on that giant, the giant's health decreases. The healers can't keep up, and the giant's health will decrease at roughly 12 a second. But because the giant has health of 940 as a level 6 giant, the giant will last a minute before it expires. With the queen, and the giant gets the full heal from the healers. With the queen only gets half a healer's heal. That's to stop them being an unkillable troop. You put a bunch of healers on a queen and you can't kill it. So that's designed to stop the queen being unkillable. Now what that means is if the queen gets that sort of weapons on her, the healers cannot keep up, and the damage done to the queen is a deficit of roughly 100 damage per second, and that's how quick her health will go down. So my queen's level 23 and her health is 1145. So those weapons on my queen would even with healers on my queen, would kill my queen in like 10 seconds. So that's why the healers, you bring 4 healers. So that's great, we'll have 4 healers, but there's still a deficit, my queen will still perish. So, okay, explain that's the reason you're bringing healers. And that is why you're putting them on the giants. So giants in first with the healers. Now the giants won't die, but now you can put the queen in behind the giants, and the giants act like this undying golem that just will not die at all. And what's good about that is eventually the giants will break through this wall themselves. You don't need wall breakers, the giants will do that. And while the giants are bashing on the wall and tanking for the queen can get rid of all this trash that's on the outer lying edges. Okay, so that's the reasoning behind doing that. You're bringing in giants with healers to tank for a very long time to allow the queen to do what she needs to do. So this has all been taken care of by the golem and the wizards. The queen and the giants are taking care of this. Now the other benefit of the healers is once the giants get in amongst all of these weapons and they start taking way too much damage they can't keep up and they die, the healers leave the giants and they go onto the queen. At that point, it's good because now the queen is never going to be facing more than one or two, very briefly, point defense weapons at a time. So now the healers can keep up. So the healers came in, healed the giants eventually died, then the healers transferred to the queen to help keep the queen alive. Okay, so that's what we've been doing and having a lot of success with. So the main push on this base then comes from the Valkyries. You're bringing 14 of them. So you've cleared this side away with wizards. The queen has done this side. You have a jump spell here. Now the thing about the jump spell is its radius going along a wall is roughly 8 wall pieces, but going up and down and left and right, it's 5 pieces. So you've got your 3 pieces here for your air defense or other weapon, and then you've got this wall piece, and that wall piece is 5 pieces. It's actually a tiny fraction, a little bit bigger than that, and that's what enables you to do this, and that is place that jump spell there over the air defense. So with 14 Valkyries all piling in here with the queen, now you've used your jump spell, you have 2 rage and a heal, and the Valkyries will get pulled into the core because the heroes are in there. Valkyries might path a little bit this way, might path a little bit this way, but not too much because the queen and the giants have taken care of this. So there's not a lot of real places for the Valkyries to go except into the core. And this is where your rages and your heal spells can come in now. Okay, so that's why you're doing it this way. Now some Valkyries will path off around this way and they will take care of some trash buildings over there, and the wizards will some of these wizards will path that way as well and take care of some of this trash before this archer tower gets them, or the mortar or something. The queen will enter here. All this is gone, so the queen will have to start pathing around that way while she's got 4 healers on her. She's under no threat from the inside because the Valkyries have all taken out the core of the base. And so she will only really be facing 1 or 2 point defense weapons at a time. Now the thing is, with this particular attack, this was a cleanup attack, and the first attack got 99% and probably only needed about another 4 or 5 seconds, and it all hinged on the last deployment of the last wizard. Last archer and the last wizard is what determined that. So what Prime is doing is made a slight little adjustment on the deployment of the last wizard and the last archer, and he made a couple of other little adjustments. They're just very subtle, so it's a bit too hard to explain them, except to say that the last wizard and those sorts of little elements that came into it to help turn that 99% into a 3-star attack. So that's, I know it's a longer explanation than I normally would on a plan, but I felt it was necessary because of how we're using that nifty little trick with the healers and the giants to help make the queen last much, much longer than she otherwise would have. So anyway, I'll clear this all off, and we can go and have a look at what that attack looked like in while we were watching it. Okay, here we are, just waiting for the wall breakers to go down at the moment. Oh, press play, there we go. And so wait for the wall breakers. There's the first wall breaker. That's cool. Wall breaker's done. Now we'll get the giants down and put the 4 healers onto the giants. So now with that expo on the giants, with the archers on the giants, the healers should be able to keep up. Remember, the heal beam only stops when the giants actually start moving. So if you have a close look at the giants' health, it's not really going down. Those healers are keeping up with the archer, with 2 archers and a level 3 expo on those giants, and the giants are are doing okay. So on the right hand side, you've seen that the golem's gone down, the wizards have cleaned that up. On the left hand side with the giants, you've seen that the queen is now doing her work, and now the Valkyries can come in with the jump spell. Now you'll see that once the queen got targeted by that other X-bow, on the left hand side, the healers left the giants and they went over to the queen instead. So now they won't go back to the giants at all. The giants will just become sacrificial tanks, and the queen will just keep those healers on her for the rest of the raid. You've noticed that the entire core has been gutted by the Valkyries as well, under the rage and heal spells under there. The couple of Valkyries pathing around on the top right hand side, the kings on the left side, and a few of those things will go down. The Valkyries are all done and dusted now, they're finished, and the king's about to expire as well with those weapons on him, and that'll just be left up to the queen. That little golemite won't last too long. It'll just be left up to the queen to walk around and take care of the rest of the trash. There is an archer, just deployed an archer onto the top right dark barracks, a minion onto the army camp at the top, and one wizard still in the bag. So that wizard, you'll keep that wizard in the bag because you will need it later on. The wizard that is working on that storage might run ahead and get shot, and there's nowhere else that's really 100% safe to drop the other wizard until all the weapons are shooting at the queen, or they won't all be shooting at the queen at the same time, obviously, because they're not in range of her or she's not in range of them. But as she moves forward, those weapons will start to fire on her. You can see the gold cannon shooting on her now, but that won't do any damage to her because she's got the 4 healers, and even though with the reduced heal of the healers on the queen, that cannon will not kill her. So there, he's just dropped that last wizard now. Now that the archer tower locked onto the queen, that wizard was safe to drop, and he activated the queen's ability as well just to bring out a few more archers. So there you go, a lovely little 3-star by a Town Hall 9 onto a Town Hall 10 with Infernos. That's all for today. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.